Hey guys, I hope you're having a good day today. Obviously behind me we got the Audi Q3 2021 model. I'm going to be doing a walk around, I'm going to show you the interior, and then I'm going to drive it and give you my thoughts and opinions about it. So before we get started, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. So without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, so right here we have the 2021 Audi Q3, and this car in particular is the Premium S-Line 45 trim, and the Q3 actually comes in 4 different trims, and they're basically split up between the 40 and the 45s. The 40s are, the slower version, and they have less horsepower. They come with about 185 horsepower, and they are subsequently cheaper. And then the 45 version is basically the quicker, faster, more powerful version, and it comes with 228 horsepower, which this car has right here. However, they are also split up into 2 different sections between the Premium and the Premium Plus. This car right here is the Premium model, so it's not the highest end model, although it is technically the second highest end, I would say. And it has a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine right here in the front, and it goes 0 to 60 in 7 seconds flat, and has a top speed of 130 miles an hour. Now, getting into the price, the MSRP in this car right here is $36,000. Now, when you start to factor in options, they actually aren't too bad compared to other cars like Porsches. And, you can definitely get a optioned out Q3 Premium S-Line for under $40,000. All right, so going into the general overall look of the car, I really like it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that it still has that sporty, sleek look to it, but at the same time, it still is very modern and looks very updated, and definitely, fits a 2021 car very well. And I probably have to say that my favorite, part of the design is the front grille. Obviously, with the 2021 model, the front grille is slightly wider and bigger. So, it does have a little bit more road presence, I would say. But the one thing that I don't like about the front grille is that some parts of it are not actually fully functional. So for example, right here, from an untrained eye, it just looks like a typical grille, used for either aerodynamics or, cooling or something like that. But when you get close to it, it's actually not even, functional. It's just plastic pieces, purely there for design, which it looks cool, but, I'm not a huge fan of stuff like that is not functional. And then even, when you get to the real front grille, the top half of the front grille does actually seem functional because it does go all the way through. However, the bottom half is just these pieces of plastic, and I'm not exactly sure if, these are used for sensors, and other stuff like that, but, I would like to at least see the whole grille be used in a functional manner rather than, half and half. And then when we get underneath here, these little vents right here actually are pretty functional. There isn't any plastic covering them when, you get to that part. And then I also like the front headlights right here. They just look sleek. Not a whole lot going on inside of them, but, for a, kind of entry-level exotic SUV, I think that they do have a really nice look to them. Now, moving on to the side profile of the car, this car is fit with 18-inch wheels, and obviously since this is the S-Line Premium package, it does get the little bit better looking wheels than you would get on, just the pure base model 40 version. And aside from the wheels, there isn't a whole lot, different from the 2020 model, but, it still just has that really sporty, small compact SUV design look on the side of it, which I do really like. And then obviously getting close to the handles, we do just have standard door handles. You don't get the pop-out door handles that some of the other auto manufacturers are doing, but we do have keyless entry. So, when you go up to the car and your keys just in your pocket, you can just put your hand right here and the door will unlock. And then obviously you got your gas cap right here. And in terms of fuel efficiency, I believe this car gets 20 miles per gallon on the street and 28 miles per gallon on the highway, which isn't too bad. But obviously this is not the most fuel efficient car. It's not bad, but you know, it does run out of gas pretty quickly, especially you know, if you're driving it moderately fast. All right, so moving on to the back part of the car right here, it is pretty standard Audi. However, I do like just the kind of the minor details right here. The lights look pretty cool, and also when you're, you know, changing lanes, these lights are not just typical blinkers that go, you know, the full light turns on and off. It actually kind of does the little Ford Mustang thing where it goes like 1 2 3 1 2 3, and it just looks really cool from behind. And then obviously on the bottom left we have the Q3 badging, very, you know, typical Audi. And then on the bottom right here we have the Quattro symbol, which, you know, is basically just Audi's all-wheel drive. And then you got, you know, the typical Audi badge. And then on the bottom half, not a whole lot going on, just typical bumpers. But I do want to mention something about the exhaust, which I actually do not like, but it seems to be a trend on a lot of modern cars, and that is basically that it has fake exhaust. Now, most people, when they look at this car from behind, they're going to think that the exhaust is this little cutout right here, but when you get close to it, you'll realize that there actually is no exhaust. It's just this, you know, plastic opening that really isn't used for anything other than, you know, pure design. And it's the same exact thing on this side. Now, the actual exhaust is underneath the car, and I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I'll try to get low enough so you can see the exhaust, but it is right there. Let me see. It's right there. So it's just one exhaust tip, which is not even close to this, you know, fake exhaust out here, which is fine. But, you know, I don't like how a lot of the modern cars are starting to do this nowadays, where they do this like fake exhaust. And, you know, I don't really get why they don't just put the exhaust tips out the back. Maybe it's for emissions or something, but, you know, that is one pet peeve of mine in terms of the design. But, you know, it seems like a lot of other manufacturers are doing it, so you can't really blame them. All right, so next we're gonna go into the interior. I'm gonna start with the front, and then I'll go to the back, and then I'll go to the trunk. So getting started off with the interior, I think the first thing that really sticks out to me are the seats. Now, the seats have this really, really cool design that kind of mixes sport and luxury together. And the reason why I say that is because you can obviously tell that there's a lot of padding and thickness in the seats themselves, so they do look very comfortable. But when you look at the actual, you know, stitching and design in them, they kind of have that sporty look to them. And the seats are very comfortable, I will say. But, you know, obviously just looking at the color and all the other stuff like that, it really fits the car very well compared to its competitors. And then looking on the doors, not a whole lot going on, but the thing I do like is that it does kind of have that you know, Q8 Urus kind of style design. Just looking even at like the door, you know, handles right there, and just kind of, you know, panel pieces. It has a very like sharp, edgy hexagonal design that I think looks really, really cool. And it is nice to see it kind of trickle down into the, you know, base model SUV. And then stepping in here, I'm gonna turn the car on, and the start stop button is, you know, right here. Just foot on the brake, press it. There's no, you know, key fob that you turn or anything like that. So, you know, when you get in, you just put your keys down right here into the cup holder or wherever, and I'll turn the air down. So just looking at the overall look of the interior in terms of the technology and all that stuff, it does look very new and updated. Obviously right here you got the digital gauge cluster. This seems to be the direction that most auto manufacturers are going. Only a couple of them and certain models of cars are keeping the analog clusters, but, you know, the digital cluster, I think for cars like this, it does fit it very well. It's very clear, very easy to see, very modern looking, all that good stuff. And you obviously can, you know, change different settings in here through, you know, this little scroll wheel right here on the left. You obviously got your energy, memory, you know, consumption, date, time, just, you know, basic things like that. And then obviously you got your driver assistance, which in this car, it is basically just a little warning when you're driving. If you get too close to a car, it will, you know, give you a little red, you know, outline of a car in front of you. And then on the left, you also got your RPMs. It looks like this car redlines at about 6,800 RPMs. And then on the right, you got your speed. And then on the far left right here, you've got your engine oil temperature. And then on the far right is your gas, tank measure. The steering wheel, I really like the steering wheel. It has this very modern, sleek feel to it, which is actually very common in pretty much every Audi nowadays. I really like how, they don't have like the super round, kind of bulky look to it. It is, very thin, sleek, feels good, feels sporty, fits your hands very good. And then in terms of just the buttons on here, I think this is basically just to, switch between the three settings right here. Between, your USB, you got, your energy, and then you got your phone. And then obviously, like I showed you guys before, this is, just to scroll through. And then view right here basically just changes, your view on your actual instrument cluster. And then obviously you got the Audi logo in the center. And then on the right here is basically for, volume and answering phone calls and, switching music and stuff like that. And then, obviously got a little bit of aluminum right here, but the rest of the steering wheel is obviously leather. And then moving into the center infotainment screen, it is a little bit dirty, so I'll try to get the lighting a little bit different so you can see. The infotainment is very simple. It's not necessarily the most advanced, but it is very high definition, easy to use, and that's really all you need in a car like this. So obviously on the left you got your radio, you got your media player. If you want to connect your phone, you got phone apps, which this car does come with Apple CarPlay. And then you just, press the home at the top corner to go back to the screen that we were on. You got your vehicle, which, this is basically just for all the various settings. And Audi Drive Select right here just shows you, what, driving mode you're in: comfort, auto, dynamic. Dynamic is the sport mode, and then obviously comfort, off-road. Pretty simple and straightforward. You just click that to go back, and then, you got your settings and service, which, if you want to go into all that, you can, and look at all the, different settings in your car. And really besides that, there isn't a whole lot else, to the infotainment. So it is a little bit more of a basic infotainment system. But the thing I do like is that, it is built into the actual dashboard of the car, which, just looks really clean, modern, sleek. And then obviously below right here, we got the air conditioning. Very simple to use, hot, cold, just, turn the scrolls right here. And obviously this, does the intensity of the air. And then you obviously got your seat heaters right here, 3 different levels. And then you got your window defrosters and stuff like that. And then moving below here, we got these 2 buttons up top right here. This is obviously just a start-stop button. And then right here is the volume panel. So if we were playing music, you would see it show up. But, you just scroll left, right to turn up and down. And then you got this kind of lineup of buttons right here. I really like these actually because they feel really good when you click them. And they are made of plastic, but they do feel just, really high quality. And I know it's kind of stupid to say that with plastic, but just the way they're laid out and the way they feel, they feel very good. And then in terms of the gear selector, it is actually very standard, and I'm surprised that it is as standard as it looks. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because a lot of, cars nowadays are starting to go with like a little bit smaller gear selectors. Trying to be more reminiscent of electric cars. But it looks like in the Q3 they just went with this, very simple gear lever that you just pull back, and it's got a little, click right here just to move it. Pretty simple. It's got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then you can also manually shift it. If you just do it over here, you go up, down. Very simple, straightforward, not too much going on there. And then right here we got the cup holders. 2 decent sized cup holders right here. However, the one thing that I do like, that a lot of people don't talk about, is this little section right here. And this is basically just to fit your phone in. A lot of times in other cars, you'll have 2 cup holders, but you don't have anywhere to put your phone. So Audi was actually pretty smart with this. They kind of just made this little compartment that you can easily slide your phone in without ruining the space of the other 2 cup holders. Then we got our armrest right here, with some decent space into it. and I believe you can move it forward. Yep, you can move it forward and back, you know, just depending where you want to put your arm at. And then I think that, you know, pretty much wraps it up. So next we're going to see the back seats of the Audi Q3. And I know this is an important topic because one of the biggest issues that buyers have when they're thinking about getting a small SUV is that they're worried that there's not going to be enough space in the back. Now, the Audi Q3 is not the biggest car out there. However, the back seat space is actually a lot bigger than you would think. And when I get in here and sit down, I have the seat up decently far back. It's, you know, it's not like I'm putting it forward all the way, and I actually have quite a bit of legroom. So, you know, compared to the Porsche Macan, which doesn't even have bad legroom at, you know, to begin with, this car actually has more space in the back seats than the Porsche Macan. So, you know, I think in terms of, you know, just the, you know, leg space in the back here, it definitely does pass the test. And then in the middle, you obviously got your fold down cup holder. And then you open it, you just click this button right here. Open up, you got 2 cup holders. They are a little bit smaller than the ones in the front, so you probably won't be able to fit a ton of drinks back here, but, you know, just for extra space, it does help. And then, you know, just easily fold this back up. Obviously, you got 3 seats, and then in front of, you know, the 2 front seats, or sorry, behind the 2 front seats, you got these, you know, little nets right here that you can fit stuff in. You do have the air conditioning in the back right here as well. Pretty standard, nothing touchscreen or anything crazy like that, but, you know, you can change the temperature through this wheel, and then this wheel opens and closes the vents. Door panels are very similar to the ones in the front, so not a whole lot to go over right there. Right, so moving into the trunk, and just talking about the space back here, the trunk in the Audi Q3 is about 23.7 cubic feet with the back seats up, and then it's 48 cubic feet with the back seats down. Now, the trunk is definitely big enough to do all your, you know, daily activities like groceries and packing and all that stuff, to fit luggage. So it is definitely not a small, you know, trunk, but you do actually have some pretty deep panels back here, which, you know, your hands can go down pretty far. You know, and you can just fit a lot of different stuff back here, which I'm actually surprised those, you know, these 2 side panels are as big as they are. And then this little compartment lifts up right here. Obviously, you got your spare tire and, you know, all the different parts, I guess, to put your spare tire on. And then not really much else besides that. I mean, I think the trunk is, you know, a good size for this car. And then obviously to shut the trunk, you know, you got the automatic. You just click this button right here, and then it just locks. All right, so now we're gonna get to driving the car, and I just want to show you guys one thing, you know, that I didn't show you guys before, was the actual backup camera. So obviously, you know, if you just put it into reverse, you'll see it. The back camera is very clear, it's very nice, and then it also gives you sensors around the car, so you can see, you know, if you're close to certain objects. And I believe if you get the upgraded model, you can actually get a 360-degree camera, but this car obviously doesn't have that. So anyways, you know, let's just get into it, and, you know, and let's start driving. Okay, so I'm just cruising around in comfort mode, and, you know, the first thing I noticed, you know, just driving in here, is that the car is just comfortable. It takes the bumps well. You know, the seats are comfortable, the ride quality is good. The wind noise is a little bit louder than some of the other cars I've been in that are similarly priced or maybe a little bit more expensive, but, you know, compared to cars that are cheaper than it, the, you know, wind noise isn't really that bad. And I am being a little picky here, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. I'm gonna put it into dynamic mode, which is basically the sportiest setting, and I'm, you know, just gonna kind of test it out to see how this thing handles around the roundabouts. Alright, that feels good. That's not bad. Alright, so I'm just gonna do a quick little acceleration here. Okay, so the car obviously is not the quickest car out there, you know, compared to some of the other cars I've driven. It's supposed to go 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It's not slow by any means, but it's not gonna, you know, be throwing you back in your seat. I want to see how this, you know, how the corners feel right here. All right, so that actually took it pretty well. I took that roundabout, I think it was about 44, 45 miles an hour, and, you know, it's stuck, you know. So
The thing about Audis is that they have a really good all-wheel drive system, and it's obviously, you know, shown in the Q3 right here. Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up that I didn't mention earlier in the video that I usually do for my reviews is the exhaust. Now, the exhaust in this car, there's really no reason to show it. It's not very loud, you can't really hear it. It basically just sounds like a vacuum cleaner. I'm sure if you got the SQ3 or maybe if you even modified this exhaust, you could get it to sound well. Alright, so I'm gonna put this thing in manual right now just to kind of feel how the transmission and the gears change. And downshift a little bit. So it's not bad. The one complaint that I do have about this car is that when you're downshifting, the car like jerks you forward a lot, and you know, when you're in first gear, like right here, I'm getting out of it, it's very jerky, you know. So the ride is not smooth when you're in dynamic, which makes sense because you're in the sport mode. But, you know, even compared to some other cars when they're in their sport modes, this is actually not the most comfortable thing to drive. I'll slow down right here a little bit, and I'll put it in first gear so I can get a little bit, you know, real acceleration from it. That's not bad. I mean, you know, to be honest, for a base model SUV, it's not slow. All right, so finishing up this review and kind of just talking about how this car ranks amongst others in its class. I think for an SUV that is, you know, around $40,000, that you can even get less than $40,000, I think it is honestly the best SUV that you can pick for the price. Obviously, it's, you know, competitors are going to be Mercedes SUVs, probably a BMW X1, BMW X2, and then obviously you got the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. But, you know, I think the thing that I like about this car is that the interior quality is very, very nice. You have leather everywhere, the design is sleek, it's new, it's modern, the infotainment looks good, the gauge cluster looks good, the car handles very, very well, you know, for what it is. And then, you know, from the exterior, I think it is, you know, basic Audi, but, you know, it does still look very updated. You know, compared with other cars like the Alfa Romeo, I think it looks a little bit dated, and I believe they actually are coming out with a new model. So, you know, for a car in this price range, this would be what I would choose if I was looking for a daily driving, small, compact SUV.
All right, guys, so that wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and also just let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos, more, you know, these reviews and stuff, you know, or if you want to see something else. And if you guys, like in my forehead, I'm wondering why is there a weird line right here. It's because of the GoPro I just had in my head, so, you know, don't worry about that. You know, but yeah, I mean, I think that wraps it up for today. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.